Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have a 1v1 match for you guys. I'm playing against Core Brainlets, who is always a tough fight, and it's one of the most hopeful and then depressing openers I've done in quite a while. So the Dutch are of course reasonably fast with their PWI transports, 150 kilometers per hour road speed, but only 80 off-road, so you do have to stick to sort of main thoroughfares in order to get that dynamic gameplay. Leopard Verkenning headed up the highway on the right, and I do also have some scout infantry headed that way, as well as scout infantry toward Bravo. Light investment in Bravo. I was hoping to do something in Foxtrot and really just push toward Charlie and get some good success right off the bat if I could, but Core has capped Charlie. This is potentially an advantage because it means he has fewer points on the ground right now, but it's very much not a sure thing. So the Verkenning not able to quite get a shot there, but the KCT will intercept this TPZ Fuchs, and down you go. In the meantime, these guys are just headed right down the pipe, so the only thing I really need here, in addition, is probably something like AA. More AA than I had anyway, and you can see Core Mariners and those Verploeg 95 will be able to get some sort of work done, most of the Verploegs at that range, but the closest thing I have to ATGMs and the French led by Core are very much not having a phenomenal time. Of course, the Verploeg can shoot at infantry as well, and now we have a double squad of Leopard 1-5s that are cresting that ridge and heading off to fight against the French. So that engagement was at least okay. If we take a look right now, this looks relatively promising. So there's a P4 PC, there's nothing between me and him, and, well, I guess neutral's probably better. The PWI is headed over, but Leopard 1A4 is detached from Core's left side of the field, and those guys will give me some trouble, not to mention there will be some reinforcements here relatively soon, and there's a big investment in Bravo Core trying to fight me out in those woods, and I don't have much there to stop him, so I've really put all of my eggs into this Charlie basket, and because of it, I've given up the aggressive hold in Golf, any sort of hold in Bravo, and I'm really just trying to blow through the center of this and have that be the game. But these Leopard 1-4s will ambush my PWIs, so I'm just trying to hide in the woods there while I can get the Core Mariners and the Verploeg over, but the Verkenning is encountering an AMX-10 RC. This is a problem. It's a relatively fast gun, and I'm a swing and a miss there on the second shot at 91% chance to hit. We did, of course, fail, so the French are going to be moving over and cutting off my resupply route. This is something we saw the other day in Grimm's ranked match, so that was something where his opponent had reached really far across. You can see I'm all the way over here, but I have nothing in the middle. I'm just getting my reinforcements on the way, and I've been a little bit skittish here. My PWIs have been a little bit slow, and I'm going to pay for that hesitation shortly, as my Verploeg, Core Mariners, and the Cheetah Prandtl are all just trying to stay alive. But yeah, Peace Run coming in, and down goes one of the 1-5s. My Core Mariner and KCT trying to lead the way, trying to find that P4 PC in Charlie, but it's going to be tough. We do spot some BGS here, and this sort of gave me an inkling that there might be more going on in Bravo than I was aware of, but a Gazelle Hut coming in is... ooh. Oh, cat's chiming in there. I do apologize for that. She's very, very vocal, but I promise you, she's just... I mean, she just wants attention. That's all it is. And the P4 PC in Charlie has been rerouted, so you can see he's moving him back. There are a couple of Leopards and an AMX Hot coming this way, and then the surprise of a lifetime in the form of these Urk 90 Sagace. So 20 points only, but they're very, very fast. 1 frontal armor, and that gun, 10 rounds a minute, 11 AP power. It's not the best, but for 20 points, quad stacks, it can be very deadly indeed, and I've sort of run out of steam before I got to where I was supposed to go. In fact, I have to reconquer Foxtrot in order to have strength there. Now, I have capped Echo. I do have a hold here, which is supposed to be somewhat resilient, and I have encountered the enemy troops in Bravo, so I am aware of that, and we will be sending up some troops to handle that as well. A couple of bow snabs. I do like the ability to call these guys out on their own. 30 points is, I don't know, it can be worth it, it can very much not be worth it, but these guys, I thought if I can get a couple of rocket pods in and sort of dissuade, that might be a good thing. I am working also on a rocket pod testing video, so we might see when that can come out, so hopefully sooner rather than later, but it was a little bit tough to record, and, well, I'm trying to make sure it's actually a reasonable thing before I get going. But Cheetah Prandtl killed by a Leopard 1A4, very much not my favorite thing, and my Leopard 1-5s are just taken out by sheer rate of fire, so you can see they're individually better tanks than the 1-4s, but sheer amounts of incoming shells will tell eventually. In fact, the same thing's about to happen to my Core Mariner. We get 1 kill, and then look at this. I mean, yeah, the Urk 90s are, well, are they Urk 90s? They're Urk, where are they? Yeah, Urk 90 Sagays are just brutal. brutal killing machines. And my Corps Mariners are not cheap. They are high-performance infantry, and they're getting just demolished. So in response to this, I'm trying to say, okay, well, he's coming through Charlie strong. Let's see what we can do here. In fact, we do spot the P4PC and kill by the Leopard Verkenning, so we are ticking now at a +2, and that is at least some breathing room as I'm scrambling for a hold in this very messy game. AMX Haunt versus the Leopard. We should get the kill here, and we do, but my KCT are taken out, and I don't anticipate holding the forward position in Charlie. Corps Mariners, however, are able to push back the Jaeger and the approach from Korps Brainlets into Foxtrot, and you can see a big combined effort here as well, trying to go into this town. It's a little late, but I thought, okay, well, we've done our work here. I've gotten some reinforcements up. Maybe, just maybe now, because Korps has also done some work in Bravo, we might be able to get some kills. But my Notre are getting stunned and killed, and it's time to get the Corps Mariners back so I have something to hold, as I don't really have confidence that I can really push this position. AMX-10 RCs and some more fire support are going to be causing me to pull back here as well. Unfortunately, it's after I've lost some of the AMXs, but before I lose a whole bunch of stuff that really doesn't have the killing power to handle the AMX-10 RCs in this area. In fact, Notre might not be able to kill AMX even this close in combat here. Side shot. Okay, that was not bad. Yeah, so that's some pretty valuable Notre, so 5 points. Killing an AMX-10 RC is always something I'll be happy for, but Corps Mariners, meanwhile, they get a couple kills, but again, just being shot to pieces by that fire support, and I mean, these guys, yeah, look at that. 25 points, 3 frontal armor, and enough of a gun to be a problem. Sapors, meanwhile, moving forward. Luckily, the push in Charlie and Golf did get us some breathing room, otherwise it looks like Korps probably would have just pushed right through. I mean, it's just Sapors and BGS. It's not the end of the world, it's actually a relatively light push, but really the bigger trouble is in the center. So right now we have ERC 90s, we have just more ERC 90s, some Jaeger moving forward here, and only Grenadiers. I mean, I do have a 2A4 NL anchoring this, but at close range these guys can do some pretty good work, better than you'd expect for the guns that they have on those relatively cheap bodies there. So we are going to have to bring in something to stem the tide. Right now just a single unit of scout infantry, probably KCT, and I'm trying to cap Fox. So what's happening is I'm looking at this, looking at my +2, realizing I was behind by 60, now we're up by about 20, and if I can make that a ticking +3, then this becomes base defense. This becomes, how long can I hold before I die a horrible death, and is it long enough to make this game sort of go my way? But the KCT will chew through these VABs. 15 points apiece is very much something that I want to... Sorry for the jump cut, my cat just jumped right into my cup of ice, so, well, ice water rather. It's a little startling, and, well, we do have an engagement now coming in. Exactly what I said with the ERC 90s coming up here. They are going to give my men a run for their money, particularly with some air support as well. So the 2A4 takes a pounding, 7 points of strength there lost from that ATGM plane, and we're going to move him back, trying to keep him alive as my command vehicle is moving up and forward and trying to get into Foxtrot to get us a +3. In the meantime, I have lost my KCT, but they did get a couple of worthwhile kills, so I'm not too sad about that, and we'll have to figure out if my Astute Troopin and these YPRs can do the rest of the work required. So, Notre sparring with Jaeger, and a couple of nice shots it looks like from over here. No, maybe not so much. I could have sworn something just went up experience there, but maybe not, could be wrong. And we are also calling in some resupply vehicles, trying to get the Leopard 2A4 and L back to healthy. But Jaeger will cut through Notre. It's really not going to be one of those situations where I have any reasonable chance of holding, but the Hussar run, sparring, and spotting, more importantly the Sapors, does allow my YPRs to get their autocannons online and take out those very deadly infantry-to-infantry sort of fighters. You can definitely tell that my opponent loves those cheap fire sports sort of type style of play, and there's a bunch of Harpons, there's a bunch of just 20 to 35 point vehicles and tankettes. But I gotta say, it was really rough to deal with. It's something that I'm not as good at fighting as I am maybe against the more mid-range style of play. People bring 60 to 80 point tanks that you take it out and it's a significant chunk, right? So you do that a couple of times and you're relatively fine. Corps Mariners are still defending in the woods here, but as soon as they've done that first shot, I'm a little wary of bombs and artillery, so they are going to be shooting and then moving back a little bit. It's a worse protection against this part of the zone, but I mean, they're still Corps Mariners, they still should be able to do a decent job. Mortar, meanwhile, firing in, and this was just out of spite. I wanted to see if I could damage the Jaeger, and in fact, No, because the Jaeger is standing way too far forward and my artillery piece is not shooting in at the appropriate place. But we do have an engagement now, so Stuttruppen finding Sapeurs. I'm being a little bit cagey because, I mean, they still do have napalm rounds, and that is something that is very scary. Peace Rhine coming in, and unfortunately I do lose the 2A4NL, so not able to rescue him, just Peace Rhine making me a very sad man. But TPZ Fuchs will get killed pretty quickly by the Corps Mariner, and that is a good thing for me as well. But yeah, he's not alone. Nothing that Corps sends is ever freaking alone, so very easy to overwhelm things. And these Harpons got a bad engagement. They might have been able to shoot at the Corps Mariner if they'd been a little bit farther up, but as it is, they're distracted by Grenadiers and being taken out one shot after another by the AT-4s on my Corps Mariners. Beautiful, beautiful work there. Held that entire position and got, I mean, that was what? 120 to 140 points worth of units there. So I have really no complaints about that, and because we did lose that big tank and I'm getting tired of my opponent's Peace Rhine, we will be calling out a couple of big anti-air pieces there, and because of the cap and Foxtrot as well, even though Charlie's been recapped, we're at 190 points to 66, and we're taking with +1, so as long as I can keep this fight active and delay my opponent's purchase of another couple of command vehicles, that does have potential for me to stay ahead in this fight, which is very important indeed. So YPR will probably get killed by a couple of abs. My Stuttruppen are moving up, trying to get revenge here, and then being a little bit cagey of engaging with those Sapeurs again. So you can see my opponent pulling back and spotting that. I'm going to take the long way around. There's no sense of going out in the open for nothing, and the M106A1 will be able to get some fire in, but it's just cheap mortars into a town, so those 3 remaining Sapeurs are kind of fine with it. Probably don't care that much. Now, if we look in the center, there's enough stuff here between the Leopard 1A4s and the Urk 90s, as well as these AMX 13s. He probably could have pushed directly down the pipe. It's just Grenadiers and some Corps Mariners who are in the wrong position to hold against that much fire support, particularly that much fire support with optics. And I very much have been on the losing side of this game in terms of just kills, right? I've lost so much stuff, and it's still relatively early, so we're at about 12.5 minutes in on a 40-minute game, and you can see a couple of vehicles moving up there, and Grenadiers able to take them out just in time. So Stuttruppen are going to be crossing over, and these guys, I mean, I love the AT-4. Its 19 AP power isn't the best, but the 20 rounds a minute is really what you want, and these guys can dismantle enemy IFVs. But a bunch of swings and misses there, so 3 different shots, 3 misses, and yeah, I mean, these guys were worried, but that's really no excuse. They should have gotten that kill and continued moving forward, but instead we get the AMX 13, and that's fine with me. May also still be able to get a VAB or 2 as a result of this push, which, I mean, that's sort of what we're looking for here. There's really nothing else that's I really wanted from that. We're just getting... These guys cost 20 points, right? So if I can kill 2 IFVs per, then I'm set, and I think we've managed that just barely with this push, particularly if the Stuttruppen still keep getting some good results. So they are still in enemy territory. Huzaren and KCT anchoring this side. I needed something to protect these Hawkios. I didn't really want to bring them out and get them killed immediately by direct fire weapons, but the Stuttruppen unfortunately surrounded, and I'm turning off the mini-me, trying to kill that Fuchs Milan before I die. We do get it, and then because these Urk 90s moved up forward, we might be able to get one of them as well, but unfortunately stunned and just taken out. And I know there's another wave coming, and I have nothing to stop them. Just Huzaren in that zone. It's not going to be enough. Not by a long shot, indeed. So, there is also movement in Foxtrot, well, toward the center of the map here. Urk 90 Sege is moving forward, and, I mean, pretty good attempt here as well. It was something that, it's the reason I put KCT out here. I thought maybe he tried doing this, and in fact, if I had Verploeg, that would have been a nice play, because they would have been able to shoot in from all the way over here. They would have gotten shot back in return, sure, but you don't need all that much armor piercing to kill a 1 armor Urk 90, so even a single shot there off Verploeg would have been able to get some good work done. We are calling reinforcements into Bravo, and lots of them at that, trying to make use of the 3 frontal armor on the AMX Priest to maybe be able to slow these guys down just a bit. And here's where I make a bit of a mistake. So I see these guys, I know they have longer fire than I have available, and I'm smoking. So the reason is, if I can cut off the range on those guns, I might be able to move something forward and get some shots in. But Foxtrot has been counter-capped. Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit with my voice here today, but I'm doing my best. It's, well, surprisingly challenging to talk as much as I end up doing during these, but well, I do enjoy it very much. The whole reason that I put videos up on the channel is because I'm a blabbermouth, as one would expect. So, Golf has been capped, Foxtrot has been counter-capped, Core is ticking at a +1, 24 minutes left in the game, and that'll probably be enough to make up for it, so I need another dynamic play here. And Suit Trooping moving over, YPR headed up as well, and the KCT are the only saving grace, as I do take out a couple of those vehicles, one unit of Suit Trooping able to retreat, and I need to really switch up the paradigm here. I need to push my opponent back in Bravo. If I can, cap this zone and keep it capped to cut off that +1 and make sure that I don't lose a fairly substantial points edge. We're not quite at halfway, but we are very close indeed. So, Amex Prees are doing okay here as frontal. I mean, here's the idea. These guys can stand up to sapeurs, so if there's any sapeurs left or any brought in as reinforcements to kill the Grenadiers, the Amex Prees can shoot at that and take that fire all day long and not care. In the meantime, Grenadiers sort of provide a, line infantry to line infantry killing ability, and then behind it, you can pack in a couple of higher performance units to try and get a lot of work done. But just the Amex Prees for me for right now, and Grenadiers for the most part for me for right now. Even Natra, just, you know what, you were killing me with numbers, we're going to return the favor. So Sapors immediately retreated as they find just lots and lots of guns opening up at once. You can see they're not that effective, and the Sapors have gotten out, so not really the best thing for me there. But yeah, here's the thing I didn't anticipate as well. These AMXs really do just pound into armor, and my Prees with the 3 frontal armor, it's still not enough, and these guys don't have the guns to return the favor. But luckily for me, they are cheap, and we should still be able, 17 Legion, but let's take a look at this. Yeah, they're getting a lot of kills, but it'll take a while for them to make that up. 40 points, 5 points each for the AMX Prees. They're right now at 20, and yeah, living a bit longer than I'd like, but here comes my answer. It's a pair of Block 5s, so a whole lot of bombs coming in really flipping quick, and the Legion are retreated out relatively well, so they will survive for right now, but I'm just going in after the Erks. And you can see we got a couple of kills here. Looks like 1, 2... Yes, 1, 2, 3 Erk 90s off that on the left-hand side, 1 on the right, and only 1 surviving there farther back. And now we have Legion sparring with a hell of a lot of Natra, and yeah, they'll get the kills, but again, we got our values worth. We got 80 points of kills off of those Erk 90s, and it does add up eventually, and it might just be able to get me back into this game. Quad stack of AMX 1390s, this is terrifying, 13 rounds a minute, 8 AP power, 3 HE, and we do also have an answering plane here, probably a bomber, coming in to, well, get rid of my defenses. In fact, no, it's a Peace Rhine, probably the least cost-effective kill there from a Peace Rhine ever, as it does get taken out by my Hawk Kios, and this prompted immediate outrage. So as soon as that came in, as soon as those missiles were on the way, Korps was sitting there going, whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell was that? And is it radar? Of course, these guys are not. They're one of the reasons that Dutch AA does have surprisingly good capabilities. 75 points non-radar AA. It gets good against planes. Could have better range against helicopters, so it's not a jack of all trades, master of all trades, but it does have its little niche here. So Block 5's coming in, and I'm trying to cut off the avenue of retreat as well as pound back into the farther back section there, and unfortunately not as much impact this time. There wasn't nearly as much there, and then P4 PC is too far back for me to get a lot of good work done. And you can see the Grenadier rush, the Natra rush has really, it was okay, but it didn't get done what I needed to get done. So now we are going to be bringing out more Stoot Trooping and things like that to file in behind the remaining Grenadiers, and hopefully be a little bit more successful with that, as these Legion are moving up, challenging my Huzhou Ren, and yeah, they will get through. Legion are nigh unstoppable by units like that. They'll just buzzsaw right through them, never holding a chance to get any success. But pushing on this side has made the Legion retreat instead of move forward, and that means my Grenadiers might be able to get some good work here done, even if it's just distracting, right? We do spot a Milan team, and that is something that needs to die, but the PWIs are moving forward. I have a Rekenning on this side, but he's there to defend things off in the woods and the straight, not to shoot across the river and risk getting killed by something like a Milan team, or even a Fuchs Milan that very easily could have been lined up against the other side. So you bring in infantry, you unload them, you put the Fuchs Milans over on the side, and then you spot with things as well. And those bombing runs were a bit more successful. We almost, we killed one of the Milan teams, just not both. And you can see the Legion are being worn out. But unbeknownst to me, there are a ton of Kanonen Jagdpanthers moving forward. These guys, of course, with their 3 frontal armor, 12 rounds per minute rate of fire, are nearly as deadly as the AMXs with their 13 rounds a minute that we've been fighting so far. So these were, in fact, not Stu-Troopin', it looks like Corps Mariners, and they are finally an answer for Legion, which could be pretty nice. AMX 1390 shooting in, and I'm trying to smoke him, of all things, to cut the line of sight there. This is never what you want to do, because they'll just move a little bit, and there you go, and now you're protecting their units instead of yours. But I really needed the Corps Mariner to get across this strait without getting hurt, to get into the town and be able to engage against the damaged Legion in BGS. And you can see, we had a really dynamic start. We had the start in Charlie, we went to the Gulf, now we're over in Bravo, and unfortunately for the mobility in this game, we stay over in Bravo for a while. Corps Mariners do also take a beating, down to 17 men, because of that stupid flipping AMX, but it might still be enough to chew through these Legion, as they're down at 2 men, soon to be 1 and then 0, as, I mean, both units are panicked, and if I can retreat these guys and heal them up, we might still be able to get some good work done as more Corps Mariners, Grenadiers, and all of that moves forward. I was trying to capitalize on success here. I didn't realize there would be Kanonen Jagdpanzers back there, but if I keep Grenadiers in front of the injured group, we still can get good use out of the AT4 and Mini-Me, which is better than nothing. For Plig 95 are moving up, my intention is to use them just like you would ordinarily for an ATGM team in that town, and look at all of those Kanonen Jagdpanzers. This is going to prompt an immediate response from me, so both of those bombers coming in, again, still no AA answer from Core really there, and he doesn't even really see them come in until they're dropped, so an amazingly fast response given the low visibility, and there still are a fair amount of Kanonen Jagdpanzers that were lost, along with a couple of infantry. So Corps Mariners fighting against Milan teams should be able to get the kill, and these guys need to retreat back because they are very damaged, and yeah, I don't think I do at this point, but I should have. And sometimes looking at the replays for that, realizing the mistakes that you made and adjusting is its own reward. AMX 13 meanwhile still shooting in, and my PWIs will suffer for that as more Grenadiers moving up in AMX prees. The idea was, okay, well, just the cheap stuff span didn't work. Now we have Corps Mariners up here. If we put cheap stuff in front of them, maybe that will work against my illustrious opponent here. But I do, in fact, lose that very damaged group of Corps Mariner, and we're going to have to try to sandwich these guys. So 12, 11 remaining. But the other Corps Mariner moving up with their AT4s against Kanonen Jagdpanzers are getting some return. Of course, 20 points of kills, so that's 20, 40, and soon to be 60, as, yeah, they were split. And this avoids the static effect hitting both, so my one group was stunned and panicked, the other was not, and we are going to be retreating in the face of Legion, and getting, I mean, 100 points on the way forward against these Vabs. And with that, I think we actually can get the sandwich here, so a couple of Legion, but yeah, it's a back and forth engagement. I'm oscillating now in the replay, because I was oscillating at the time, and I wanted to give you guys some sort of realistic look at that. Corps Mariners, one man actually did kill the Vab. He died because he then moved through fire, so that was really just a pain in my ass. But one man alone with an AT4 did get another 15 points before he died. Verploeg not quite able to get range in the AMXs. This is one of the struggles to Dutch deck because you don't have good ATGMs. You have to rely on these guys, and you really don't want to rely on these guys at all. 50% accuracy on each one of those shots, and not even a single hit. So we are going to our second volley as the Grenadiers do get into the action. And it looks like second volley, 3 missiles away, 50% chance to hit on each, and 1 hit. So this is ridiculous. Look at that, 55, 56, 56, and we've shot 6 times. You'd have an expectation value of 3 hits. We have 1 hit. Sometimes the odds are just not in your favor, and you sort of have to deal with it and move on. Third volley, though, does get that guy. I mean, but look at all those shots used from Super Dragon, 9 whole shots, and fortunately we are now engaging with Commander Marine and Sapors in favorable engagements, and these guys are finally some expensive units that if I can take them out, they will get me an edge on the field. And yet another push into Bravo destroyed. I do like fighting in the woods, and every once in a while I'm not completely terrible at it. So Corps Mariners and Grenadiers finishing off this Milan team and the Legion. I guess he did escape, but only for so long. So that does give us a temporary edge. I almost wonder what would have happened if these guys weren't staged quite as far back, if they had moved forward, because it was always the sort of thing where my reinforcements were arriving just as his were. But another plane is also taken down. This guy was, I believe, either a seed plane, I think it was a seed plane, or an ASF, a bit hard to tell, but the Hawk Heos, once they've shot, will be repositioning. Yeah, definitely a seed plane, because there's the other Jaguar A that was farther back. Yeah. Well, I guess it still could have been a bomber in the seaplane follow-up. That's a pretty common move there. Cheetah Prandtl coming in, this is just to give the Hawk Heos a little bit of extra support, and I also can use it to bait in seaplanes by showing them that radar signature, turning it off, and then getting the kill with the Hawk Heoses, and even if that guy dies, I still come up positive both on value and availability, as I have a fair amount of AA pieces, and the seaplanes are rather limited, but we do have a Puma Pirate back in our backlines here. I think I noticed it right about now in the replay, sorry, in the actual game as well. You see the Cheetah Prandtl is moving up, Block 5 called out, and this guy's just going to circle and then do a bombing run over on the right, so this is never what you want to be doing. Have more base defense than I did, you'll like it, you won't hate it, and, well, we get the Puma Pirate, but my bombs are a little bit too late and won't be able to kill those Commandos Para, in fact, not even scratching the paint job on their morale, so we do have to have a different answer bow snab coming out, as well as a recon snab, a recon bow rather, and this is a big investment, so I called out a bomber. I didn't have to already pay for it, but I mean, this is 30 points, the bow is 45, and all of that for a single unit of infantry on that side, and this can't even really kill it necessarily. Only if he gets into the open woods along this one path, which is not a risk that I'm willing to take. So, in the meantime, my Leopards 1-5 are moving forward, and I made the mistake of thinking that there wasn't more back there in that staging area, so I thought to myself, okay, well, we'll return the favor, we'll use these Leopard 1-5 supported by Grenadiers and PWIs to get good shots in the woods, and potentially push up as far as the river and cut off his reinforcements. That was the objective, but Legion are going to make that very sad very quickly, as these guys should be stopping any second. No. So bad micro on my part, leading with the vehicles, and that's definitely going to be very painful. Stunned, worried, the other Leopard 1-5's trying to get out of the way, but these Legion, just with their 19 AP power LRACs, are a little too much, and I've lost 110 points in tanks in just that engagement, giving back the advantage to Korps after all of that painful shot after shot sort of fight trading. But bomber coming in, and look at this, Legion Vabs everywhere, and Legion and Vabs nowhere. So, I mean, there were a couple of survivors, but that does sort of even things out a little bit for how poorly that engagement went for my side of the field. We are winding down into the last couple minutes of this game. We've been unable to shake things up in terms of points, 243 to 139, and we do still have, I mean, it's really an issue of, does Korps think he can chew through this side of the field or not? Because we've been fighting over here for so long, that's really the rest of the field is pretty static. And if we look at that, that is an issue on us hyper-focusing, but I can't push into here. He might have been able to push against me, but Suit Troopin are pretty deadly, and he looks like he's using that for a different purpose, maybe trying to get some firepower on my Corps Mariners on the side. I have no hope of pushing into Golf. That's just not going to happen. Cheetah Prandtl is in fact targeted by the Jaguars, but one Jaguar kill, and let's see if we can get the second one. No, swing and a miss off of both shots despite the 50%. That makes more sense with ECM though. And we are just not able to get the kill as that seaplane does get out. Now this is a good thing as well. The Verploeg and the town are able to get persistent fire on the AMXs until we lose line of sight there with that retreat. I don't have good scouts in forward positions. KCT probably should have moved up through the woods, but a little bit too little, too late for that. And the Hawk Heos is just able to move before the answering artillery fire. So these guys, I've been very impressed with them. I think keeping them supplied, keeping them right about here, central, but not necessarily in any sort of danger. A little farther up than you expect for that expensive AA. I mean, this is 75 points a pop, and I've got two of them in the same place for 150 total points there, just lightly guarded by a Leopard and a KCT. So they could be more secure, but this far up they also do serve a better purpose and function. So we are retreating a little bit now. I'm expecting another offensive. I'm not stupid enough to go in again with the Leopard 1-5s, and it didn't work, but we are having to engage on this side with Commandos Para. That means Stoot Troopin, it means YPRs and Natra, and this should be able to get the kill. But again, that's 40 points of infantry against 20 points of infantry for Korps, and a hell of a lot of distraction. So I think I actually did lose at least one other helicopter that was back there, the bow snab as it was. Stoot Troopin engaging with Legion, and the Corps Mariners should make the difference here along with the Leopard 1-5, but Leopard immediately gets wrecked, so just don't bring it in the woods. It's not it's not the ideal thing. You want the 20 to 25 point sort of stuff that Core has been leading with here. It really is a showcase on how to do that sort of work in this game really effectively. Kudos to him, and yeah, that was annoying as hell. So, unfortunately my mini-me's were engaged and we didn't get any kills on those infantry fighting vehicles, but we have been able to just fend off Legion while keeping a couple of Corps Mariner alive, simply 3, so a bomber could come in and wreck my day, or artillery for that matter. And a Crusader has killed my scout helicopter that was pushed up just to see if I could get a cheeky CV kill or something along those lines. Leopard 2A4 NL coming out, not really sure why, and the Hakios is a last missile. Was able to get that guy down to 1, but not able to get the kill as I need to stop the Vracht and let the Hakios resupply, but unfortunately not a ton of great micro for me in that regard. M752 Lance, I don't think it's a single kill this entire game, but we are about to see the kills and losses here, so stick around for one more second as this loss of the Legion on the right hand side does prompt Core to surrender, and that is going to be a victory for the Dutch. So here is the kills and losses list. I did come out nearly positive, 2460 against 2175. A couple of big blunders would have made that a lot better, like not losing the quad stack of Leopard 1.5s. That was pretty brutal. 220 points worth swing right there. KCT did okay. These guys were the ones at the start that killed the TBZ Fuchs and the Jaeger inside of them. Other units that did well are the Leopard that got that P4 PC kill. Without that, we probably wouldn't have won the game at all, or at least it would have been much closer. KCT again, 2A4, this guy was the guy who was killed prematurely by that second swing and a hit from the Peace Rhine. Corps Mariners did alright, so lots of Harpons. I mean, these guys are what, 25 points a pop? Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, that's very much worthwhile. And then Block 5s with a bunch of bomber kills, and really just the Corps Mariners anchoring my whole side of the field. So that's what we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.